Okay, this is a set of forks off a VTX 1800. You can see that we actually have a pretty bad leak on this fork, so what we're going to do is we're going to change them both out as a pair. Even though that one's not leaking, we're going to do that one too. Normally, if you have a leak, I would say just change one. Chances are you got a bug or something that basically hit the fork leg and wiped your seal out. You might have some dirt in there. The other seal could last for another 50 to 100,000 miles. You have no way of telling. Okay, first step you want to do is you want to make sure this is loose. While it was on the bike, we already cracked it. That's as far as you really have to go. You can take this all apart in the bike if you really want and then drop the fork leg after you're done. But what I like to do is I like to push down, because this is the force of the spring. You can actually push down and rotate the fork leg. You can feel a little bit of pressure in there. Normally there's not pressure, depends on the temperature. Just keep screwing the leg down. Now there's going to be oil in here, maybe not with this one because we had a pretty bad leak. And what you want to do is you want to get yourself a pan and dump the oil out. Doesn't hurt to run it through its motion a little bit. Help move some of that oil around. As long as we're draining one, we're going to go ahead and drain the other. By pushing down on this, it keeps the guts from springing out. Sorry. Okay, the next step is to remove the cap. Depending on who you talk to, you want to make sure that this nut doesn't move, or take a measurement from here to here. I choose to set these while they're in the bike. Okay. Okay, once you get the cap removed, you can take this fork tube, you can slide it slowly down, and you'll see that you have the exposed nut for the special tool that Honda needs. This is essentially what the special tool will look like. This is one that I made. You're going to slide it down over, and it'll fit in these grooves when this rubber is exposed. But the truth of the matter is, you do not need a special tool for doing this fork, and here's why. If you look right down in there, you can see the fork tube itself, and you can see that the nut is a little bit smaller diameter. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to leave the spring preloaded, and we're going to change the fork seals without removing it. Okay, so the next step is to pull the dust boot off. You get a little screwdriver in there, just like so. You want to start off with a relatively small screwdriver. You can keep from dinging your forks, and you just kind of work it around there until you get it off, and there it is. After you get the dust bushing or the dust seal off, what you want to do is find the split, and the split on this and this wire retainer ring right here is right there. Can you see it? Alright, shut it off. Okay, the retainer for the seal is basically a small piece of wire, circlip, and it comes around right about this level. There's a split in it, so you got to rotate it around until you can see the split, and in this case it's right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to rotate this a little bit. We're going to find the next little circlip. We're going to rotate it out just like this, get in behind it, pull up, and it'll come right out like so. Then you'll want to tape this up to the top. Okay. Okay, so now that we've got the dust seal and the circlip that holds the fork seal in place, we have to actually remove those guide bushings and the main seal. There's a bushing on the movable part and the internal of the fork plus the seal. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this as a slide hammer. Remember that this nut up top is smaller diameter than the fork tube itself, so you don't have to take it off. Okay, normally I'll do that in the bike. It's a little bit easier, but we don't have trees on the bike that we're working on. So first thing, after you get this all taken apart, you want to take a look at a few things and see how this is all assembled. This seal right here, it looks like it's in reverse because the taper is towards the outside. It's not. If you look at the outside, it's got little notches on the outside right below my fingernail. That's what tells you the direction of this particular seal. You want this pointing out. The next, you have the washer. This makes sure that the seal doesn't come in contact with the bushing and doesn't harm it. This bushing, when it came out of the bike, it was assembled like this. You never want these two bushings aligned. You want them 180 degrees from each other, pointing to the outside of the bike. Your forces are coming this direction. You don't want it coming into a split. The other thing is, this is a special nut. Everybody talks about special Honda tool. Looks a lot like this. You don't have to take this off. The reason for it is this diameter is larger than the nut diameter. They did that on purpose so you don't have to take the preload off the spring and take that off. Okay, now that we've covered the parts, we want to take a look at getting these bushings off in order to remove this seal. What you want to do is you want to get a little screwdriver, you want to put it right in between them and spread it. These are pretty gritty. I can see why this one leaked. There's a lot of gravel and crap in it. If that one doesn't work, go in with a little bit larger screwdriver so you can spread it. You can hear all the crap making noise. Once you get it spread, I'm going to slide it all the way off. This is the lower bushing. The other one should slide off just like so. And then you have your washer. Something that's important too, the way this washer was put on. Usually you'll want the flat face, as it's a stamped part, up against the seal. And then you have the seal itself, which was the leaking component. We're going to cover this a couple times. There's sharp edges right here. We're going to tape this up for the install, but I'm going to show you how to move this seal a little bit easier. If I push down on it and pull on the other side, it takes a little bit of pressure off what's moving. So you can kind of walk this thing off, if that makes sense. But, I mean, it'll slide right off. When you get to that point, you're going to have to kind of do the walking thing. So, that's how you remove all the components. Alright. Okay, what we're doing is we're taking a look at the fork tube. Every time you do this, you need to run a rag through it. You can see you got one spot on this side that at one point there was a windshield that clamped down on this and it actually pulled the aluminum in. There's a couple, there's a weak spot in there that's not designed to be clamped on. On the other side you can see a little bit bigger one right there. It's not a horrible big deal, but it does affect the way the guide bushing rides in it, and when the guide bushing doesn't keep it centered, the seal is not centered either, which will cause a leak. So it's something to take a look at, and to understand that when you're looking at tightening down a windshield in the upper part of the fork tube, this is a larger diameter for the tree. This is also a larger diameter in the tree. This is not. So when you put a clamp around here and you reef the thing tight, that's what you're doing. You can see it.